Let's talk about emotional mapping. Have you ever heard that term before? Maybe, maybe not. Well, guess what? We're going to talk about it. Hello and welcome. I'm Josie, your host and a separation survival specialist. And today I want to talk to you about emotional mapping, why it matters, and why I have decided to add this to my 5 chapters to surviving a separation methodology. I know that you guys have probably heard me talk about this a lot because I'm super proud of it. I created something that is intended to help you work through your unwanted separation, something that I wish that I had when I was going through my own journey. I know, and I say this often, that it would have absolutely helped me avoid some big mistakes because I made a few doozies. And I have made multiple podcast episodes that talk about all 5 of the chapters in detail and an overview. And I have a lot of other content all over the place about those 5 chapters. But this is new. This is an add on that I think is going to level up your journey through those chapters. And that is because emotional mapping makes you stop, think about the emotion that you're having, analyze and name the emotion, and then unpack why. Why is it happening? Why are you feeling this way? And prepare yourself to move forward even in this feeling. Even though you're feeling this way, you must move forward. Even though you're depressed, you still have to move forward in life. Even though you're sad, you still have to move forward in life. And I know that saying it is easy, but doing it is super hard. But that is where emotional mapping will help you because you are actively understanding and recognizing and putting voice to your emotions. It's not just you're feeling it and you're just doing other things and just living with it there, but not acknowledging and not doing some work with it. You are going to understand what it is, why it's happening, how do I move forward. That is emotional mapping. And that is important in our 5 chapter methodology because I have 5 clear chapters. I have spoken to many women who are in the process or have been through the process and they're like, holy crap, that would have been so helpful. Some women have made it divorced and beyond and totally skipped chapter 3. And they're like, this is why I'm having problems in my life because I totally skipped this phase. I definitely was running ahead myself. And that's how I came out with this methodology. I listed what the steps are that you should try your best to stay on while you're going on this journey that is going to give you optimum healing and put you in your highest self when you come out of everything. That was the goal. But one thing that was missing was speaking to the emotion that you have, that you feel during those chapters. If you start with chapter 1, for example, blissfully unaware or subconsciously aware. Okay, you're here. I give you an explanation of what does that mean, but what are you feeling? What emotion are you having during that chapter? Disconnection. You are disconnected because you don't want to acknowledge what's happening. You're pretending that things aren't falling apart. You're trying to ignore everything because if you don't ignore it, if you don't accept it, if you don't put eyes on it, you don't have to deal with it. You can just be like, yeah, things don't look like they're going so well, but if I don't say anything, if I don't see anything, we're good. And that is where the problem is because you have to do the hard thing. And that is recognize that you're disconnecting and say, okay, I'm going to have to open the door. I'm going to have the hard conversation. I'm going to have to look at my husband and say, we need to talk. I'm going to have to be ready to hear that he has also been disconnected because he doesn't want to tell me what I don't want to hear. And that is, yeah, I don't feel it either. I think we need to be done. But again, chapter one is a unique chapter that if you do it right and you are both on the same page, you could possibly save the marriage. But if not, then you could totally miss chapter two, which is being blindsided by a request. But you don't know this unless you take the time to talk to him, unless you reconnect with yourself and with what's going around you and say, okay, I'm going to have this conversation. And so that's kind of how they work. Let me just give you another example is chapter 3, better, stronger, loved you. The overarching emotion that you're going to map on here is vulnerability because you're so vulnerable in this spot. You feel worthless. You may have been like the most high self-esteem person when you walked into the marriage, and then now you're like, I don't think I'm worth anything. Maybe you never were able to build your self-worth or self-esteem. Maybe you never learned to love yourself. Maybe you never learned to enjoy alone time. And this chapter is full of you having to do hard things, understand hard things about yourself, do hard things, put yourself in hard situations to rebuild that self worth, to recognize your value, to acknowledge, I am amazing. Some women, it's so hard to just say, I'm amazing. It's so hard to say, I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to say three beautiful things about myself because they feel bad. They feel like it's wrong, or they just don't believe it. And we need to fix that. So, the emotion of understanding you're going to be vulnerable through this phase, prepare yourself that vulnerability is going to be there, but that cannot stop you. You have to push past that to be able to have forward progress. So, I already mentioned two of the overarching emotions that you would map in relation to my course. So I'm going to go ahead and name the rest. Number one we mentioned was exactly disconnection. And for chapter two, which is blindsided and devastated, the overarching emotion is shock. Of course it is. This person just told you that they want to end the marriage. And you're like, what? Your mind is blown. Your world just fell apart. Absolute shock. But we have to work within the shock and start taking, even if it's tiny steps, forward. Number three, chapter 3, I mentioned already, is vulnerability for better, stronger, loved you. Chapter 4, which is it's over, now what, is determination, because this is a chapter where you've rebuilt yourself a lot. You still have work to do. As I always say, your self-worth is an ongoing lifetime journey. You can't just be like, I feel great, I'm done, moving on. You always have to keep checking in with yourself to make sure that you still are clear on your worth and your value. That's going to be a lifetime journey. But chapter 4, you're feeling strong, you're feeling ready to fight for what you and your children deserve. You are not going to say no just to be nice or because you don't want him to think that you're the bad guy. You're going to fight for what you rightfully deserve. And then chapter 5, which is divorced and beyond, is possibility. And that's because the world is your oyster now. You have done a lot of the work. You're at the end. You're officially divorced. If you don't have kids, you never have to see this man again for the rest of your life. If you do have kids, you took everything you needed to do in chapter 4 to try and align yourself in the best possible situation to move forward. And now the world is open to you. You're free to do whatever you want. You don't have to ask somebody permission anymore. And that is amazing. So these overarching emotions are important for you to be and understand that headspace as you work through the chapters. In my methodology, in my course, if you decide to sign up for the course, that is now the beginning of each chapter. Let's talk about the emotion. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? Why are you feeling this way? Okay, you're prepared to move forward in this feeling, because just because you're having it doesn't mean that you get to stop. You must move forward. But now that you understand it, you can take those steps. You're okay understanding why you feel the way you feel. It makes sense. No judgment. You're not getting beat up about it. You're going to give yourself grace about the feeling, but you're not going to allow it to be an excuse to get you to stop moving forward. What do you think? I am so excited about this extra layer. I think it is such an added bonus to the entire methodology. I think it was the little thing that might have been missing to make it completely cohesive and very clear. So, those are the emotions for the chapters, but that is in connection to just emotional mapping in general. You don't have to be in one of the 5 chapters of the journey to understand emotional mapping and to work with emotional mapping in your life. You can do it when you're dealing with kids, with a boss, with an ex, with someone that you're wanting to get to know, with your family, with friends or frenemies. You learn how to use emotional mapping. You learn how to recognize when you're feeling some sort of way and you're like, okay, let me stop. What is this feeling? And why am I having this feeling? What is this feeling trying to tell me? You might be having this feeling you've been ignoring for a long time about some friend of yours, and you just keep brushing it off and ignoring and moving on. But when you stop and you say, what is it? This feeling is an uneasiness. It's telling me this is not the right person for you to be around. And now you're going to stop and you're going to listen to it and you're going to say, why is this feeling telling me this? What do I know? What have I ignored that this feeling keeps coming up? And then you work through that and you're like, you know what? It sucks. She's fun. We always have fun when we are out together, but it's been getting more dangerous, or she's taking me into a path that I know I shouldn't go, or she's preventing me from being able to do these things that I need to. Whatever it is, you are figuring it out because you mapped the emotion and now you're like, oh, I get it. I see it. I'm going to listen to it. It's a way not to be afraid of your feelings, but to use them as the guide on how to keep moving forward in positive ways in your life. They are there. They're there for a reason. Are you taking advantage of that reason, or are you using it as an excuse to not do anything? Or are you repelling it because you don't want to figure out what it's trying to tell you? That is what emotional mapping is. I'm super excited about it. You're going to see me talking a lot about this going forward. It is already inside the course. I have already updated my course with modules on emotional mapping. There is so much going on in there. There is worksheets for every chapter, for every one of the overarching emotions. There is a monthly tracker for you to track how you're feeling through the month. There's a lot. If you have ever been thinking about taking the course, now is the time. That's in there. And I didn't raise the price. I added all of these new things, but I said, you know what? I know that my women, if you were like me, money was a bit of an issue. Having the funds to just spend willy nilly is not where we're at when we're dealing with an unwanted separation. I know that, which is why I wanted to keep the course reachable by all of you. So the link is in the show notes if you're interested in checking it out. I'm so excited about it. And I can't wait to hear what you think. As you can see, I'm just super excited about it. I'm very proud of it. And I want to do everything I can to help you move through this super difficult journey in a way that is going to give you the best chance for healing and the best chance for that amazing future that you absolutely deserve. So, thank you so much for listening. I'm done for now, and I will catch you on the next one.